Hey, hey, everybody. It's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And I'm not quite done looking at this Series C round of funding that Ripple just received. I want to just kind of look at it one more time today. And we can see that on Fast Money, CNBC, this clip was floating around a lot on the 21st of December. And it is where the panel was talking about, does Ripple really belong into the $10 billion club? And Guy Adami, who is shown here sitting on the right as you look at this panel, doesn't think so, he says, but this isn't his skating rink. And yeah, it's not your skating rink. And because it's not your forte, I don't know why you even make an opinion. Carter Worth, who is sitting here on the second from the left, he is talking about how dreams can be big and then the child is grown and the dream is gone. Ha 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 ha. There's laughter among the panel. And then he implies that things can go very badly. Well, I just want to let you guys know, the ones that talk their talk, who are just so-called experts in a skating rink that they don't skate in, I keep score and just hope that you don't become part of my wall of shame. Tim Seymour was the only one on the far left here that had anything intelligent to say. He said the institutional representation is very important and very impressive. And yes, that is true. The people who did bring the money to the table is very impressive. So let's hop over to this article again that was written by Fortune. It is citing that Brad Garlinghouse said Ripple as a company doesn't need this money, though the funds will provide a balance sheet with flexibility. Now, this flexibility is what I kind of want to look at today. A Ripple spokesperson also said that it has plans next year to hire up to 150 new employees, adding offices overseas. When we take a look at the Ripple website for the jobs that are currently available, there are 49 jobs listed, 10 of which are going to go to the spring arm. 31 are in San Francisco. The other cities are Mumbai, Dubai, Singapore, Sao Paulo, Brazil, London, and New York. And, well, I think if you all remember, there is episode 3 for the Ripple Drop where we met Hannah Kelly in the New York office. They have also a job that's open for the senior visual designer. I hope that it isn't going to replace Hannah, because Hannah is just one of those that brings very elegant, graceful, and refined style to Ripple's branding. I watched her presentation in Tokyo at the XRP meetup, so I do hope that this senior visual designer is going to work for her. Okay, now if we just move, how much does it cost to actually hire 150 new employees? Well, the median income in the US for the Census Bureau, according to these 2018 figures, is $40,000 for women and $49,000 for men in the age group of 35 to 44. But this is so not the case for the Bay Area. Remember, 31 of these positions are in San Francisco, and the other cities are very expensive cities to live in. London, New York, Singapore, Dubai, Mumbai is even an expensive city. And 15 of them coming into the engineering department. So the Bay Area is a hotbed for the best talent, the creme de la creme from around the world when it comes to engineering, and it's very competitive. And those Ripple engineers start at annual salaries of about $150,000, and I have seen that from the research that I've done. Now, I'm not saying they all make that. Some of them make a little less, some of them make a little bit more, but the important thing to know is San Francisco is a totally different beast. San Francisco households earn up to $192,000 a year, and this is still considered middle class. It is a very expensive place to live, And granted, the burn rate for the new employees might take 2 years to catch up in new sales to make a wash, but I calculate that it is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $25 million a year to hire these new employees. Now, we're not even talking about talent that is in the C-level, executive level group, and I'm not even talking about golden parachutes. I'm talking about just hiring boots on the ground to get this growth done. So that leaves about 150 million of flexibility that Brad Garlinghouse talks about. Well, what are we going to do with this kind of money? Mergers and acquisitions, the M&As in payments for this industry reached a record high in 2019. Deals spiked from 31 billion in 2018 to 116 billion per the insider, the Business Insider. So we saw Fiserv bought First Data, FIS acquired WorldPay, Global Payments scooped up TSYS. They were all multi-billion-dollar deals. Consolidation in the payment space is on fire. And startups like Stripe and Square, well, they look very, very ripe. You can see here that there is a company called Adyen that I am very, very interested in. They were founded in 2006. They have 700 employees, 15 offices globally, 3 rounds of investments. But listen to this. This is their customer base: Netflix, Facebook, eBay, Uber, Microsoft. They had a Series A round in 2011 by Index Ventures. I think Index Ventures, who is in San Francisco, I think they own the lion's share of the company. They had a Series B round then in 2014 by General Atlantic out of New York. I think they still own a 16% share of this company. And then there was a venture round in 2015. This was done by Iconic. They are Iconic Capital in San Francisco. So they've had a total of 266 million in terms of funding. They're headquartered in the Netherlands. They went public in June 2018, and they have been profitable for several years. Now, the building of their business has been very, very impressive. Their volume in terms of what they've processed is up 47%. Their net revenue is up 60%. Their stock price is up 73%. And I want to show you an announcement that came on December 18th, which is very impressive. So it was announced that they are going to do all the international mobile app payments for McDonald's. And do I know something? No, absolutely not. I'm just looking at the landscape with a flexible balance sheet, simply putting myself in the shoes of a person who is looking at how to spend that money or how to even put it to work. This is a company that I think could be considered. So I just think it's something interesting to understand in what is happening in space. All right, some of you, and I know that is the case because I'm reading Twitter, some of you think that this is in a preparation for an IPO. And this Series C round is maybe possible for Ripple getting ready to go for an IPO. I'm less inclined to think this. And why? Well, it's prior to the regulations being clear. That is one of the reasons why. So I just don't think so right now. But remember, I don't know. And many of you who lean this way, I think you'll be very interested in taking a look at this PDF, and it is from Stanford University, specifically looking at the VC assets under management that take the companies to an IPO. It's a very new document, and I am going to put it in the comment section below. You'll see that the VC deal flow and the growth, while it is really made up of the technology sector, 38% of that is what is going public. It's the highest of the 7 segments, and unicorn companies valued at above 1 billion are really ripe. Company they will, yeah, they will. This is kind of the signals that you look for when a company is getting ready to IPO. They'll hire independent directors to their board. They'll also hire a CFO who has experience taking companies public. They'll also hire a new general counsel that has experience with the same. And usually, not always, but usually an outside CEO comes in to take them through the process. And employees sometimes are offered to sell back their shares to the company. 67% of the time, this is the case. And typical companies are 10 years old in times of their IPO, according to this PDF. And IPOs, however, have been on the decline. Now, this is an interesting statistic. From 1995 to 1999, 2,369 companies went public. From 2015 to 2019, only 434. Okay, so I just think that this is the kind of mental process we go through when we see that kind of funding come around. All right, now I'm going to jump a little bit to a new subject. This is Securitize. I did a video for the first time on Securitize a little over a year ago, and the company is one that Ripple invested into along with Coinbase. They are able to tokenize illiquid assets and bring them to the STO platforms. And yeah, I did a video. I was interested, but I really didn't pay that much attention after I did the video. So the funding was surprising because I just didn't quite understand how big STOs were going to be. If I can show you here that it was in September of this year, there was another 14 million raised for that company, and this is when I really began to pay attention. You can see that those that were involved were the Nomura Group. This is the huge, big Japanese financial services group that was founded in 1925 here. It is where Mr. Kitao got his start. He was a star in this company early on in his career. When he first, I think it was his first job, he went to Nomura. Then part of that funding also was MUFG. They are the Japan mega bank. They are #1 in Japan. And then there was Tezos. And this is really what got my attention because they are just now a project that has moved up to #10 as a market cap, and they're doing a decentralized blockchain that is structured as a proof of stake protocol. They totally can integrate with Securitize, and then Santander Info Ventures. This is the investment arm for the big bank that also has been one of the early investors for Ripple. So I was at this time in September that I started to really pay attention to what's going on. And then about 4 weeks ago, we see that Mr. Kitao, the CEO of SBI, he invested into this project, and he did it with an undisclosed amount. It was confirmed, though, that it was 7 figures. So this is why I really had a great attention paid to Tezos. Now, just in the last couple of weeks, there's a very interesting PDF. I'll put it down in the description below, and it's new because it is a cost-benefit analysis of these STOs for the real estate investments in Japan. So real estate is considered one of these illiquid assets. And this is put together by Deloitte Japan, Japan Security Token Association, which I must tell you was founded by Mr. Kitao, the CEO of SBI, and then Securitize. And the report illustrates the value proposition. The opportunity is 17 trillion yen. That's 160 billion US dollars. And on this 17-page report, you will be able to leapfrog to understand why I am so interested not only in Tezos, but also how these STOs are going to shape this financial space. So Tezos reached that #1 spot. They are up 236% year to date and 21% up in the last 30 days. Okay, I just wanted to give a shout out because there's a lot going on in this space. So if you are a little bored with the XRP pricing right now, this is part of the space that is not stagnant at all. Okay, NEM. NEM is in the news here because, well, it's one of the top 5 that are traded in Japan by way of popularity, and they are going to go through a rebranding, not only with their symbol, but with their color scheme. And their symbol is, well, you can see here the way they have transformed it through this image that moves for you. It has a kind of an open arm or collaborative feel, as they talked about it. Do you know that it turns out that blue is the most used color in this space for logos? But in this case, they are going to choose purple, and their new tagline is powering possibilities. So taglines are also an important part of a branding for the company. Here you can see Tiffany Hayden talking about how the original tagline for Ripple was "Be Your Own Banker." Well, we know now that the runs on Ripple is what they are using, and I think it's very powerful and works very, very well. So what is the tagline for XRP? I don't know. I would like to come up with one, though. That would be, I think, very useful. All right, I am jumping. Wow, yeah, I'm jumping to the fluff, everybody. I want to, wow, I have pages that I don't need. Whoa, I have lots of pages that I don't need. I want this page here. This is about colors, and colors in the world are different culture by culture. And well, it's impossible to say how many colors there are because of the wavelength of light. It's virtually countless. A PC can show up to 16 million colors, and your eye can identify about 7 million colors. So this is probably different, however, person to person as to how they actually see color. This is the Japanese color palette, and it is the colors that are most widely used. This hue and this shade is what is found in Japan. Really, when it gets to the browns, in particularly, these look very Japanese to me. But color is, well, like many countries, has a lot of meanings. This is a color called korozen, and it is it's a color that is only used for royalty and the emperor in particular. And this is also another color which is sometimes called yellow sea urchin. It is used for the crown prince. So it is one of these colors that in Japan, it can only be worn by royalty. I have a funny story to tell. I was in the United States with a Japanese friend a few years back, and we were flying Southwest from LA to Arizona, and she looked at the color of the Southwest airline paint job, and she said, "Oh my gosh, that's horrible." So she couldn't believe, from her perspective, the color combination was just so distasteful and unappealing and ugly. So I realized at that moment, oh, yeah, you're right. We have a different sense of color depending on where we are living in the world. So for her, Southwest was just horrible. Now, I don't think it's so bad, but then again, I grew up in the West of America. So for me, it seems just very, oh, I don't know. I don't get a bad reaction at all. Well, in Japan, we do see these maneki neko. These are little kitties that raise their paw to beckon good fortune to come. And white is used for the symbol is, it symbolizes happiness. Black is actually protection and safety and peace. Gold is for business. Red protects you from illness. Pink or orange is part of romance. Green is a symbol that helps heal. And blue is for family harmony. So there you have it, the colors of the world and their meanings. I'm sure, depending on where you're from, you have also some color stories. All right, everybody, yes, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.